Bobby Strother. I'm the Youth and College Minister at Rice Memorial Baptist Church. And today, there's an issue in the church that we need to discuss. And that issue is that young people, and when I say young people, I mean students between leaving high school and finishing up with college, are leaving our churches in huge numbers. And there's a few good reasons why. And that's what we need to talk about today. So I don't want the overall tone of this to be negative. What I want to do is I want to address a few problems, and then I want to address a couple things that we can do to fix the problems in our churches. So, the problem is this. Young people are leaving our churches. And there's this book. The name of the book is Already Gone. It's written by a guy named Ken Ham with Answers in Genesis. What he says is that by the time kids get into about 8th grade, they've already mentally checked out. So these kids may be coming to church with their parents, but they have absolutely no intentions of staying once they're not forced to come to church. And he identifies two reasons that they leave. The first reason isn't extremely applicable to us, but what he says is that churches don't do a good job teaching creation, and that's why they're leaving. But you'd expect that from a guy whose whole organization is revolved around creationism. The other interesting thing that this book stumbles upon is that they say that kids in churches are not taught well. They identify Sunday school as the primary reason that kids are leaving churches. And what he means is that all throughout middle school and high school, students are in classes with very well-meaning teachers. But these well-meaning teachers, they don't do a great job teaching Sunday school. They do their best, but sadly, a lot of times their best isn't good enough. What they do is they get to difficult questions that the Bible has the ability to answer, and they say things like, you just got to have faith. Or, you just trust me. And our students are looking for much, much bigger answers than just have faith and just trust me. They want solid answers to questions. And let's face it, many times the church isn't given those solid answers. Another problem with our churches, that's this. This is a Lifeway Sunday school material. Now, what this material does is very well-meaning. This material will take you through the Bible in 7 years. So over the course of 7 years, a normal person will go through the Bible completely. But this is what it does. It'll start you in the book of Luke. That's what's this quarter. And then after Luke, they'll take you to the book of Revelation. Then you'll jump back to the Psalms, and you'll read a few of the Psalms. Then you'll jump over here to 1 Corinthians. Then you'll come back here to Genesis. Now, it's a great thing to go through the Bible in 7 years. But it's a tragedy that the Bible is the only book on earth that when people go to study it, they read the middle, and then they read the beginning, and then they read the end. Nobody else does that. I just went to see a movie this week, The Hunger Games. The Hunger Games, if you're not familiar with it, is a series of books, 3 books, it's a trilogy, and the movie just came out all about the first book. Nobody picks up the trilogy of The Hunger Games, or whatever movie may be your favorite. Nobody reads the middle, then reads the beginning, then reads the end. But that's what Christians do with the Bible. That's how students are taught the Bible. This is how the average person uses the Bible. They pick up the Bible, primarily when they're going through something difficult in their life. They flip it open, and they just hope that whatever they point to on the page applies to them. And so what they do is they treat the Bible like a magic oracle, where they just go to it and they hope that means something to them. Or what they do is they treat it like a magic 8-ball, where they just shake it up, ask a question of it, and then read. And they don't go to it with any continuity. So, here's the problem. The problem is that churches, one, are not teaching well. The second problem is that when we are attempting to teach, we don't teach anything in continuity. We take it all apart and we chop it up. So when people leave our churches, they have this. They have a bunch of dots. You're very familiar with connected dots? They have dots all over a page, And nobody has done the work of bringing all those dots together and connecting them. So one of the problems also is that when you come to church, you don't have some of the other benefits you have of going to a college. Like this book, the one that I've already mentioned, they say that when a student goes to college, that's when they begin to doubt everything the church taught them. Now, why is that? It's because their Sunday school teacher said a lot of, yeah, I think, let me go ask so-and-so. They did a lot of that. They didn't give them a lot of rock-hard, good, solid answers. And so when they get in science class, when they get in their other classes, their philosophy classes, those guys have PhDs and lab coats. And they sound very solid on the answers that they're giving. And so here you've got a group of guys who are educated. They have all these fancy letters by their name. And they seem to have facts, scientific facts, that back up the things that they're saying. And then over here, you have a lot of well-meaning church people who have ideas that they're not very sure of. And so many young people are leaving our churches because we're not teaching well. And they leave it following after this science garbage that's getting taught in many of our secular universities. So the problem, we're not teaching well. What can we do to fix the problem? Well, we can start at the beginning, and we can make a plan to teach them through the covenants, through the rest of the Old Testament, and then get to Jesus, and we can create a need for Jesus. The problem in churches is that a lot of people don't need Jesus. But if we taught them well, we would create a need for Jesus. Then we give them Jesus, fill the need, and then we can teach them about how great this Jesus is. So, teach well, and lastly, get people in place that have the spiritual gift of teaching so that the Holy Spirit can help them as they teach. So, spiritually gifted teachers, teach well, and create continuity while we're teaching and teach them one giant story that when they get out of church, they can do something with and give them something tangible instead of just a bunch of dots.